is Linda Goddard. I work with Dr. Spencer Amesbury, who at Mindful Medicine at the Cumming Center in Beverly. We have a practice together doing primary care, specializing in geriatrics, and with an additional specialization in memory disorders, diagnosing and treating, and loving people through the end of their lives, and especially more specifically with dementia. My background is as a hospice chaplain. I am in school right now. I'm actually between two classes right this minute for social work. I'm looking for a license in the field. And I have a background in yoga teaching for 20-some years or more, and I'm a yoga therapist. One of the things I love about working with people with the mind-body approaches is that I feel like I'm working with people in a, like it's a therapy session, like it's a church spiritual session. It's a, God, there was a whole lot of, I haven't thought of this metaphor in a while. A meditation, a massage. It's very integrated, supportive work that I can do with individualizing the work with what anybody needs. You'll see on the one of these papers that's coming out to you some pretty extreme postures. That's for the young and able. You know, I work with people on tables who are in their 90s, who have advanced dementia, and we work with a lot of grief issues around loss and change and transition that come up with aging. And you don't need to have that psychological perspective that's so difficult to grasp when you were born before the psychological era, when you don't go and sit in therapy and work out your stuff like us hippies have always done. It's very relaxing. We go into relaxation and then some little hand massage and head massage, and the stories come rolling out. The traumas come rolling out. The feelings come rolling out. The tears come rolling out. And the healing happens. And it's a very relaxed way to get people more into themselves, just more settled and grounded and less distracted and distressed. It's better to put down your papers. I think. I'm very attached to this poem by Galway Kinnell. I feel like it speaks for my work, or the work that I intend to do with folks. Goes like this. The bud stands for all things, even for those things that don't flower. For everything flowers from within of self-blessing. Though sometimes it's necessary to reteach a thing its loveliness, to put a hand on the brow of the flower and retell it in words and in touch that it is lovely. Until, I'm going to cry, until it flowers again from within of self-blessing. And so what is this loveliness? What is this reteaching this loveliness? We all have had trauma in our lives that takes our loveliness away. Sometimes it's PTSD and we have nightmares that come every night and visit us. That takes our loveliness and our energy and our wholeness away. Some of us have chronic, arthritic or other kinds of pain that erode us, or the person we would like to be, perhaps. Aging, we look in the mirror and every day we look a little different. I'm like, who's that? I'm 58. Look, I'm not. Everybody's different. It's as we age. So So the loveliness is our realness, our authenticity, our truth, and what gives us meaning. And that is what I hope to rekindle in the work that I do. So mindfulness, who knows what mindfulness is? It's everywhere now. Mindfulness this, mindfulness that. Any ideas? What's your conception of mindfulness?
It's being in the present?
Yeah, like being in the present. Mindful awareness is a kind of a synonym, like being aware of what's going on now, here, right now. And every now is different, and every now is different, and every now is different. As the moment changes, and we change in relation to the moment. And there's a constant interaction between ourselves and our worlds and our lives. So mindfulness tunes us into who we are now, you know. And I'm going to put my papers down, probably go all the way, but who we are now, that if we know who we are now, then we can know what are my options. I'm feeling like, I don't know, depressed because I'm being reminded of a loss I had, for example. Now, what are my choices? If I'm aware of this, okay, this is where I am, and I can maybe try to accept that. For now, this is where I am now. And that's part of mindfulness, non-judgment. Not pushing yourself to like move forward and act fine, because I'm not feeling fine. I'm feeling grief. So what are my choices? I could not go out with so-and-so tonight for dinner, you know. I could cry. I could take out pictures and review my loving relationship with that person. I could go and talk to my friend who I was going to go out to dinner with, you know. So that's where, when you're aware of where you are, it opens up possibilities of healing and life and juiciness and health that weren't available when we do our defensive, robotic behavior that we have to do a lot of the time just to get by. Because that's what we do, and that's how we do it. Does that make any sense? So I thought I'd do a little mindfulness exercise. This is very, very common. So you can lower your gaze or look around the room, and just so tuning in is what I want you to do. What do you notice? Let's go with the senses first. So what do you hear? You can shout it out if you want to, or not. So I'm hearing a fan somewhere. I'm hearing some rustling and some voices. How is it triggering me? That's what I'm noticing too. You know, and am I trying not to judge it? Yeah, I'm trying not to judge it. I just looked up and noticed that we're sitting in a chapel. This is fantastic. I think this is a chapel. And then all the associations of chapels come running in, millions of associations. And so, do you hear your own breath? With aging, sometimes we can't hear that acutely. Okay, so what do you see? Even with your eyes closed, the eyes will be able to perceive light. What do you smell? I bet this place has a unique odor sense, especially on a really humid day. So what are you feeling? What's going on in your mind right now? Are you distracted? Are you thinking of dinner, the next things you have to do on your list to check off? Just notice. And notice your body in your chair. Do you feel the weight of your body resting there? If you pay attention to it, you can notice that. You feel the weight of the skin on your body. You feel the texture of air on your skin, and maybe hair on your skin. Do you feel notice the breath moving by your nostrils? And notice the body receive the breath and the expansion of the body, receiving, letting the breath in, and the contraction of the body as the breath goes out. In your own way, at your own pace. So this is a mindfulness meditation. It brings us right into the now. There's nothing that brings us into the now more than just breathing. And it actually settles the, I've said this word so many times, the system. The parasympathetic nervous system is triggered, but that's the relaxation system, is triggered by a big deep breath. The vagus nerve starts in the diaphragm, and it goes up to the brain, and it makes us relax. So that's why you see all those bumper stickers that say breathe, and everybody says breathe, breathe, breathe. Well, you're wired in to feel relaxed when we breathe, wired in. And it's the opposite of the fight, flight, freeze, collapse with the sympathetic nervous system. Those are the four things that happen. It's not just fight, flight. It's freeze and collapse. So if we're noticing we're collapsing, you might want to think about what was the first time you ever collapsed out of stress. Probably was when you were about this high. You know, do we still need to be doing that now? Yes and no. It takes a lot of work for the nervous system to move through that need for collapse, whatever that trauma was. It may have been, you know, somebody didn't pick you up on time from Girl Scouts and you were there alone, and everybody's intentions were very good. It was just a mistake. But it could have been a whole lot worse than that. And you were sitting there as it was getting dark looking for your ride. And that was scary. But anyway, so we flip back to those things. And if we're aware of flipping back to those things that happened to us in our past, then that gives us power, that gives us freedom to move and make our choices that are different now, in this moment. It's not easy. I was freaking out about doing this presentation this morning. My sympathetic nervous system was going. That's what it does. It's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to run from tigers, but really there aren't very many tigers around anymore. The tigers are here, you know, so. So there are studies. Here's the cool thing. When we can improve our health by feeling like we can make choices, by making the choices that we make. There's a study of macaque monkeys. It was just one study, I think, where the dominant monkey would sit up in the high rafters and throw food at the subordinate monkeys. You may have seen this on some film. And that was the wrong, and other stuff probably fell down on them too. And so they did autopsies or ultrasounds or something, and I don't know how they noticed, but the vascular system of the subordinate monkeys had arterial sclerosis. There was plaque built up because of the stress. So our social stresses affect our bodies negatively. There's another study about people who have lower fluency in health fluency, it's called. So when you go to the doctors and you're not feeling confident enough to speak your mind, ask your questions, you're feeling rushed, or you don't understand what the heck they're talking about, which happens to all of us, you're, and all of us at least some of the time, but for those of us who have education, I would venture to say that most people in this room have fairly high health fluency, which is why you're here, you're becoming more fluent. But for those people who are socioeconomically mostly and compromised, those are the people that are going to have the arterial sclerosis in their and the cardiovascular disease, and that's been seen too. So alternatively, there have been positive studies to show positive gain from being able to make choice. So there's a therapy now called acceptance and commitment therapy, called ACT. And it's about acting despite the fatigue, the arthritis, the whatever it is, the psychosis. It's been tested on all different kinds of diagnoses, mental health and physical health diagnoses. And that when we act according to our values, the deepest values that we affiliate with, then our lives and our functioning and our day and our world improves, and our health, our mental and physical health. A little bit less on the physical side, more on the emotional side. But that counts for a lot. So, so I handed out a, what was it? The sheets that show all the little domains. Yeah, the little domains, So these are the domains that if you were to rate, you can do this at home, rate the domain. It says I, importance, and C, consistency. And on each domain, say family, this is the values, kind of values clarification exercise. If you, how important is family to you right now? Let's change it. How important is maybe, that's good. So let's go to recreation. So if you are always a skier and you say, oh, I love skiing. Well, if the C means consistency. How often in the past week? Ooh, I'm skipping ahead here. Did you ski? If this is what you say, I love this activity. It's very, very important to me. You score that on importance 1 to 10, 2 minutes. And then in the consistency, you score according to if you did that activity this week. Or were you really active this week? Or did you really, oh, I walked, but did you really walk? Or whatever you do for recreation. And that's this shows that when you are consistent with your values, you do improve your health. I don't know if you understand those directions, but I'll be happy. Somebody probably did. Score them both 1 to 10. So I don't know how to end. Any questions? Yeah. Yeah.
How do people respond to, I know you talked about yoga and relaxation.
Yeah. With
people who have memory loss.
Mm-hmm.
Do they feel afraid, or are they willing to go and sit with you?
Yeah.
How do they feel? I'm just curious.
I usually suggest one session to see what it is like. And generally people aren't afraid. I make it a shorter session so that if they start worrying about people in the waiting room, you know, we'll just wrap it up. It's all playing it by ear. I've had a woman who was fairly advanced with her dementia and had a twin brother die. And she was so sad, a very special brother. And she hadn't really done the grieving that she needed to, and was through through that process, repeated process of talking about him, and she was able to actually cry, and she improved. Her care team said that she was a lot less depressed with that particular context of that kind of support. So that's one example.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I know oftentimes people are intimidated by that kind of.
We don't sit and talk. It's a breathing, and it's relaxing, and it's making faces at each other, and some stretching, and lying down and getting comfy, and a lot of restorative yoga. But there's also doing whatever kind of movement that you want to do. I work with the ability and the interest.
Very good. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.